I'm Ryan Walters, that other podcast host that you hate the most, and you're listening to the Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix.
Thank you, Walters. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix podcast. I'm one of your lovely hostesses, the Garlic Johnson, and we are joined, as always, by your other lovely hostess, the Joshua Mitchell. Josh, say hi to the folks out there.
Hi, folks out there.
Thank you, Josh. It's Tuesday night, 8 p.m., September 27th, 2022, podcast 110. We're happy everyone's here. We're happy everyone's listening either now live at the time or, live also at the later time. The words are hard. But we got the Discord. We got the anchor.fm/hoodpod/messages if you want to leave a voicemail. Segment start times are always down in the description below. We'd like to thank at Levi Ogie Illustration on Instagram for all the beautiful art pieces that people can still see. Made him do a lot of work last year that we haven't really used much of, but he's still a beautiful man. And
how dare you? That's an amazing wallpaper. We have it up in Asher's room.
Dude, that sounds like a very expensive wallpaper. Did you print it in high res, or you just draw it with crayon, or?
You know I can't handle crayons. Jeez.
Not after last time.
But no, we kind of traced it.
Oh, okay.
So I held the computer up to the wall, and then I just traced it.
You're fucking stupid. So were you just tracing on your computer screen, just to be clear?
Yeah, maybe. Hang on here.
Wait a
second.
Oh, God.
I don't know. I've had my eyes closed for about 3 years now.
Okay, well, I was gonna ask how you doing, Josh. I don't know how recent this wallpaper stencil job was, but do you need a new surface at this point? Or are you just realizing it, or how you doing?
Darn. That was for Walters because he always likes that noise, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, surface is fine. It's a pretty durable object, so I still get my soaps when I'm in there taking a bubbly bath at night.
What are your favorite soaps?
Dove, Irish Spring, Old Spice, the usual.
Are you just a bit machine today, or what? You're just really feeling the energy, just really flowing?
Yeah. How are you, Gar?
I'm doing good, Josh. Today's actually a good day. We had some leftover pizza for lunch, which is always scrum diddly. And I play Pathfinder, I play D&D, and we had just I'd been playing in a Halo game for 3 years, and the Halo game ended 2.5 weeks ago. And then so just last night and then into today, we're starting a new Zelda-based Pathfinder game, which I've never played Zelda, but just actually going through the character creation process again. I haven't created a Pathfinder character in at least 2.5 years. So it's just that feeling of freshness, that feeling of beginning, literally, quote unquote, not to be cliche or cheesy or gross, but that sense of new adventure, knowing I'm starting out as this new character going into this new world, is actually pretty dope. So I'm pretty hyped about that. I won't probably start playing the game for another month if I had to guess, but just the whole brand new character creation process is actually really fucking fun. So I'm hyped, dude. It's been a good 24 hours.
Is my level 1 midget troll ogre that specializes in herbal magic going to be allowed in this one?
I don't see why not.
All right, perfect. Hit me up.
Go ahead.
Not that I thought I was going to cough.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into Gar's Grinder then before you hack up along. Gar's Grinder this week. I know anyone who listened to the Saturday morning show was talking up a big game for David Montgomery. Obviously, poor bastard gets hurt after 3 carries, which is a rip. But this Gar's Grinder is going to prove to you that the opportunity was there. The Bears' rushing attack was dominant. This week's Gar Grinder has to be Khalil Herbert. 20 rushing attempts for 157 yards and 2 tuds. That's good for at least 27.7 fantasy points or more, depending on your scoring systems. Or I think he had 12 receiving yards, so just a little bit more than that, plus the receptions if those count. Anyways, Bears win over the Texans 23-20. Khalil Herbert absolutely dominating that Texans linebacker group, D-line, secondary, anyone he was running through or running past. Love to see it for Khalil Herbert. Josh, I don't know if you got any glimpses of the game or saw any highlights. Khalil Herbert's a guy, but I feel confident David Montgomery would have had the same success. Would have he been in the game?
Yeah, I mean, you're probably not wrong. David Montgomery I mean, he was one of those guys where his coming out party was like Halloween one year. And so Khalil Herbert, I kind of look at them as the Zeke and Pollard of the NFC North, where, Khalil Herbert has a little bit more pep in his step, and Montgomery's a little bit more of a bruiser. So that's going to be kind of how I look at those two. And so Khalil Herbert is going to be somebody that gets more opportunities. I had told Nikita to draft him in round near the end, 11 or so. But then I believe Jesse sniped him and then dropped him.
I mean, not that Nikita really fucking needs him. We'll get into that in a little bit, but hoofda. Could you imagine?
I don't want to.
All right, but anyways, week 3's Gars grinder was Khalil Herbert, and that's all I have to say about that. So, Josh, with that, we can go ahead and hop into the rant and the rave section. And my first little bullet point here, I'm not sure if I should rant or if I should rave. Are the Eagles really that good? Like, obviously, Eagles dominated the Vikings. I'm not trying to minimize them, but looking in hindsight, it looks like the Jalen Hurts-led Eagles have beaten maybe 3 of the worst defenses in the league between the Lions, the Vikings, and the Commanders. So I understand Jalen Hurts is absolutely blowing the doors off of these bad defenses. Do we think the same production level will hold up once they actually play a good defense? So I'm not saying the Eagles aren't playoff bound. I'm not saying they're not a good team at their core, but are they maybe overinflated based on their first 3 opponents?
I saw that and I was like, I don't know if I should rant or rave about that either. But anything could happen. I mean, you look at teams that start off hot and how they can falter quick, kind of like the Cardinals last year. They were 7-0, and then the injury depleted Packers come in and just take away their undefeated run, and then COD comes out and then they fall off the face of the earth. And then a couple years ago, like you said, the Panthers last year, the Broncos a few years ago, and then the Vikings were 5-0 one year, I believe, and they faltered. That was the Fat Cats Get Slaughtered.
Yeah, that was a 5-0 start. That was brutal.
So I mean, yeah, anything can happen. Obviously, they're playing lights out, so they're definitely a team to keep your eye on. I think that the goofball that's head coach is going to be doing just fine.
Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, but their defense is really good because they obviously played some pretty good offenses other than the commies. But
one of the best O-lines in football as well.
Yeah, the Vikings didn't do anything against them, though they struggled against the Lions last week, and the Lions and the Eagles put up 35 against each other. Or 30 plus against each other. So I don't know. It's just a wacky and crazy game, Gar.
Right. Like, I don't want to sit here and sound like I'm minimizing the Eagles, because that's not the case. But it's just like last year, I think it was the Darnold-led Panthers were 3-0, and people were like, the Panthers might be a team. And then I legitimately don't remember if it was last year or if it was 2 years ago, but there was that year the Broncos started 3-0 when Teddy B was their starter, and people were like, I think the Panthers are a fucking team. I think the Panthers are some guys. And then, and then the pendulum swept back, and they ended up being garbage. So I'm not saying the Eagles will be garbage, but are they really going to be an undefeated team? No. But are they a 13-4 team, a 14-3 team, or are they more like a 10-7 team? That's kind of what I'm trying to get to the bottom of. And I don't know. I mean, good for the Eagles, good for them. Who knows? But I'm just not sure if I should be raving about how fucking good they are, if I should be ranting about how the hype is out of control, because they've played 3 absolute garbage defenses. I can't decide, but though that's a rant/rave. I'm not sure how to feel. An emotionally unstable little piece, but otherwise, some rants here, Josh. A lot of these people happen to be on my team in the redraft league, so if the list looks familiar, don't call me out. But who do we think is dead in fantasy? As a bit of a rant here, is Darnell Mooney dead? Is Allen Robinson dead? Austin Eckler, Elijah Moore, maybe. Anyone I fucking drafted? Not DJ Moore, Alvin Kamara. Like, who is dead?
99% of first-round draft picks are probably dead and gone. I don't think any of the running backs that were drafted in the top 10 are currently in the top 10 for points, other than Nick Chubb, probably. And so it is just an absolute bonkers situation this year. I was just kind of trying to look and fact check that. Like Saquon Barkley in our league is running back number 1, and he was not drafted running back number 1. Okay. And then we obviously anybody who knows anything about football would have predicted Jamal Williams as a top 10 as RB8 in PPR. He's everybody with the brain would have known that because he's the starter in a high-powered Lions offense. So it is, it's been crazy. Travis Etienne is currently outscoring Zeke Elliott. Just wanted to point that out just because, I'm still going to go on that Zeke train of hatred for a while.
I don't know why you can't just help yourself, dude. Zeke's going to end in RB1 and James Robinson isn't. I hate to tell you.
Well, James Robinson, I didn't even talk about him. I said Travis Etienne. James Robinson's going to... What's higher than RB1? Is it RB0? Because that's what James Robinson is.
I mean, I did see, okay, so we're talking about are these players dead or this and that, what are the stats? I did see a stat today on Reddit. I wish I would have screenshotted it so I had the exact thing, but I saw that James Robinson, from everyone who all right, Robin season is back, or Robin 1 season is back, I saw that 2/3 of his carries go for 2 yards or less, so the volume is there, but they're highly inefficient. So, I mean, that's one thing to note is James Robinson's inefficiency going to hurt the numbers or hurt the opportunity later down the road, just because 2/3 of your carries going for 2 yards or less, that's rough. But then another thing we're talking about, are all these players dead? I saw a little in the fantasy football subreddit, I saw a reminder. At this point last year, Jonathan Taylor had 42 carries for 171 yards, 8 catches for 70 yards, and 0 total touchdowns. So, I mean, Jonathan Taylor obviously was drafted first overall in almost any fantasy league that wasn't a super flex get out. And so, that little stat is hey, Jonathan Taylor didn't turn it on until later. So it's not necessarily doom and gloom yet, but some of these guys, it's at what point do you drop them?
Yesterday.
I guess so.
No, I mean, there's it's just crazy. The amount of players and just the number of up and down games people are having. It's ridiculous this season. Obviously, Kamara's banged up. Eckler, no, he's not banged up. A-Rob he's just gone. I don't know what they're doing. Darnell Mooney is in the Bears offense, so that should be a telltale sign to drop him anyways.
They have 20 completions over 3 games or something nuts like that.
Yeah, and they're 2-1. It just makes zero sense. They have the most 3 and outs, I think, in your thing by a long shot. It's literally a cliff to get to second place when you look at that drop off, and they're still 2-1, tied for first in the division. I don't know. They're probably that team that tries to tank and just fails. The South Park summer vacation episodes.
Yep. All right. We probably should move on, but just very quick hit, Josh. Jags, are they the real deal? They blew the doors off the Colts, who then just beat the Chiefs. They blew the doors off the Chargers, who we all thought would be good, but they look like they're the same old Chargers. Are the Jags the real deal?
Yeah, Jags are going to go on a run. Yeah, that Trevor Lawrence in his hair is just going to flow right through everybody.
Cooper Rush, is he a guy?
Yeah, he's the starter for the Dallas Cowboys, and he's going to be through the next 10 years.
All right. That was.
He's the only quarterback to have 3 fourth-quarter comebacks in his first 3 games, or in his last 3 starts.
Yeah, I mean, everyone was obviously picking on the Vikings to be like, you lost to fucking Cooper Rush? Well, who's laughing now? Cooper Rush appears to be a guy, so I don't want to hear about it anymore. But yeah, all right, that was the rant and rave bit. Let's move on here to the weekly recap, Josh, unless you had anything you want to rant or rave about.
Well, I just got a quick one that I didn't put in the notes, but you know, you keep talking about needing some sort of cigarette or some sort of reprieve after winning games that are really close.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be able to fund an entire cardiologist to put ward. Once we get into the grain of salt, I'll explain a little bit more. But my God, I've won 2 games in the Hidden Oaks League by less than a point 2 weeks in a row. I am absolutely sweating bullets here every single week. I've already gotten my losing speech prepared for next week, and then who knows, on Monday night I'll get some sort of backwards touchdown, butt fumble, Ruski for 25 and win. I don't know, but I won't complain about that. But these cardiac arrest games are absolutely ruining my life.
Yeah, they are literally detrimental to my health. I would love to see Jamie do some sort of medical minute on the literal heart conditions that, sports fandom can give. But you talk about it, Josh. We talk about heart conditions. We talk about grains of salt. Bradley's ears perked up. Let's get into the weekly recap. The grain of salt, Josh, how did you do in fantasy last week? Because I'm not even sure I want to talk about me.
Yeah, I saw yours and I giggled just a little bit because
Fuck
even
off.
though I'm over here, yesterday I had to go in here and change a lot of these because yesterday I was 1-4 when I looked before the Monday night game. Somehow I won, so now I'm 4-1 in the games that I'm actually counting. I did lose in a guillotine league, as you know, and most of the world, because I went outside and screamed. I stayed alive in another one, and then the league that I'm tanking in, I somehow won a game. So I just, but that doesn't matter because points for is how we determine the draft order, and I'm still 30 points below the next lowest. So suck it. But yeah, so I had a decent week overall. The intellectual property of Joshua Allen Mitchell Bunker Incorporated, 79.53 overall for a 60%. And I'm 11-4 in the season for games that matter for a 73%.
Good for you, Josh, I guess. At least specifically in the redraft league, I seem to be an every other year kind of guy. I've talked about how I've come in second 3 times or whatever it is, and that's usually an every other year type bit. Came in second last year, so I guess this is my year to just absolutely fucking stink. But in the leagues I'm counting, not counting the guillotines, in week 1 I went 1-7. I now went 7-1 this week. It's absolutely depressing.
Whoa.
What's up?
You got it mixed up. You said you went 1-7 in week 1.
Oh, yeah, okay. No, I went 1-7 this week, went 7-1 week 1. So we have...
What did you do this week?
What's that?
I couldn't hear you.
I went 1-7 this week, you son
One
of a bitch.
win?
Correct. Okay. 1 win, 7 losses. Are you happy?
Kinda.
All right. Well, so it's straight up heads up. I'm 11-13 on the year, so that's obviously below 500. And then I'm still alive in the 2 guillotine leagues, which is something you can't say. But if I were to play against every opponent every week with the intellectual property of Joshua Allen Bunker Incorporated, I would be 129-160. So that is, betting 4-4-6, which is absolutely disgusting. There's only one league I'm good in, the BSB league. Shout out! I just beat the reigning champ Mika. I've been 10-1 in that league all 3 weeks. But otherwise, all my teams appear to be absolute garbage, especially in Brad's Guillotine League. I am barely hanging on. And we'll talk about that in the worthy waiver section on what I might have to do here. But my fantasy season is not looking good, Josh.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the rug to come out from underneath mine. I can only get so lucky.
Right. All right, big depression. But yeah, Josh is doing all right in fantasy. I am doing absolute garbage. I think in the BSB league, the champion gets like $100 or something. So I'm not saying I'm gonna win, but in theory, if that was the only league I have any chance of winning, I'll be like minus $270 on the fantasy year, which will be absolutely depressing. So we'll see how things turn out. But last year we were in the black. This year looks like it's gonna be heavy in the red year from a fantasy investment standpoint. But it looks like, Josh, you have prepared the Hoodlines, so I'll go ahead and run through the FanDuel top 3 here, and you can chime in if there's anything you want to point in. But FanDuel top 3 here, just to go through very quickly, the top 3 in fantasy points were Lamar Jackson with 40.4, Khalil Herbert with 29.9, and Jalen Hurts with 27.6. The top 3 values were Khalil Herbert with a 5 times value. I don't know what the Mac Hollins or I don't know.
Yep,
what the
Mac Hollins.
Mac Hollins, 26.4 points for a 9 times value? What order did you put these in?
4.9.
4.9. Okay, so it's 26 space 4.9 times value. And then Lamar Jackson was a 4.7 times value. And then we have the top 3 weekly totals. Carmel Bear up top again. Somehow he must be cheating. 141.24. Glenn, aka Garbanzo Best Speed, 122.3. And then Panic Man Walters, 117.4. The leaderboard, we got Carmel Bear up top, just as everyone predicted, at 396.04 through 3 weeks. Walters in second with 379.9, and then Derek in a distant third with 352.56. Though Derek was sniffing the leaderboard all year last year, so I'm sure that's a name we should get comfortable with. But
we can. Okay, I'm sorry, but let's just go ahead and disqualify Carmel because I'm looking at the lineup he put, and there's no way in hell he knew that Russell Gage would have a decent game. Chris Olave, Travis Kelce, Mac Hollins was in his lineup with 26. Damian Pierce. So yeah, he went to Vegas or some sort of studio and went, Mr. NFL, can you help me, please? And so he's cheating.
He could very well be. I will also say that I will say for Chris Olave, if anyone was paying attention to the stats, the Chris Olave breakout game was coming. I absolutely stole Chris Olave in JWoww's Guillotine League. I got him for $33. People are going to end up regretting that if I go on a run here, but the Chris Olave breakout game was coming, so anyone who didn't know that is foolish. Just point it out there. If people who were paying attention knew the Chris Olave breakout game was coming.
Same with Dobbs.
Yeah, I mean, when every other receiver in front of you goes out, it's hard to not be successful. But Josh, like I said, to get into it, it looks like you have prepared all the Hoodlines this week. Are you ready? We got rave reviews, literally multiple compliments on how good the Hoodlines were last week. So I said it was canceled. You brought it back. Do you think you're going to be able to live up to the hype that it seemed to get last week?
Absolutely not. Nobody likes me, hates everything I do. So this is just to make sure that we officially get canceled.
All right.
Aaron Rodgers style.
All right. So I'll start the music for you here. Reminder, there's like a little bit of ramp up in the beginning. Like I'll read the segment name. I'll say Skybusters. I'll start the music. There'll be a good 5-10 seconds or whatever it is of the music like hyping up. And then obviously you'll know when to go when the music gets really quiet and you have about 45 seconds to get through them. So I wish you all the best, but it is time for Hoodlines, brought to us by Skybusters.
Pew, pew, pew. There's no music.
Oh, God. All right. Let's, could you imagine being that bad at your job? All right, let's try this one more time. It's time for Hoodlines, brought to us by Skybusters.
Old man known for breaking the sky teaches new father who the real daddy is. Initial launch of the Jefferson Starship looked promising, but the cardboard exterior has shown to deteriorate rapidly under high pressures. A homeless man with a cheese-shaped hat seen screaming at nobody about trading for running backs that score points. Are the Backstreet Boys a one-hit wonder? Did more help actually arrive? And now for our main story tonight. In a battle of the little giants, the blonde mom sips her cup of tea as a tiny cop digs his own grave. Thank you for tuning in to the Hoodlines. Brought to you by the side bet this week, 30, 30, and thriving side bet winner, Skybusters, Josh Allen with 30.7.
You didn't have to get that one in there during the music. That's why I put it in italics, so you wouldn't feel, pressure to rush it. How do you feel like your performance went, Josh? Again, anytime you have like any sort of time restriction or barrier, you seem to struggle a bit. No personal offense, but
I didn't know that there was a time barrier. I can't read, so it was really hard to. It was really hard to put the letters together to make words.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I had written some of them down, and I was like, I could probably add one or two more. And then, as I alluded to pre-pod before we got anything on the air, is I kind of forgot about a lot of things that I thought I said I was going to do before the show. But oh well, I don't mind it. I was pretty happy about the Battle of the Little Giants, because obviously Nikita is little. But she has the best team in the league at this point, and then T is little, and he has the second best team. So Little Giants,
And then people probably didn't hear it because the music does get loud there at the end. The week 3 side bet winner, the side bet was 30, Flirty, and Thriving. Skybusters won that one with Josh Allen scoring 30.7. There's actually a lot of people closer to the 30-point margin than I thought there would be, and you could be over or under for the 30, Flirty, and Thriving. So shout out to Brian. Not only does he have a dominant fantasy week, shooting himself back up the leaderboard, but he gets himself a cool $5 as well. So my team's absolutely dead in that league, Josh. I'm depressed about it.
Yeah. I don't know. I definitely mentioned you in there, but yeah, our league. I don't know if you looked at the scores or anything, but half of the league games were determined by like less than 5. The other half determined by 60. It was pretty intense. Because I know mine and Mr. Landvik was less than 1. I think Hammer's game was less than 5. Nikita and T were like 6 or 7 points apart, and that was up to it was all up to Pollard at the end last night. And then I don't know forget the other ones on there, but there was a few more that were close to. And then obviously you got Brian reamed, and then Jamie got absolutely manhandled by her brother.
That's brutal. Yeah, let's just move on. I don't want to sit here and depressed. We got to hit time here, Josh. We'll move on here to the worthy waivers, and probably won't be a lengthy discussion today. But there's a couple things I want to throw off you. So obviously Khalil Herbert, if he was probably owned in plenty of leagues, but if not, he's going to be owned in all of them after this. Zay Jones might be another good waiver ad. Romeo Dobbs is probably owned in a lot of leagues, but if not, here he comes. Is there anyone you're excited looking for this week, Josh?
Who's Craig Roberts or whatever his name is? I was going to say Craig Robinson, but that's the guy from Hot Tub Time Machine.
Greg Dortch?
No, he's the wide receiver. That's the wide receiver.
Craig Reynolds?
The third running back in Detroit.
Craig Reynolds.
Yeah. Sorry, just that doesn't sound like a football name. So Craig Reynolds is probably somebody that's not added or not on anybody's roster. He's worth an ad with Swift out. Williams has a great week, but he's most likely owned in all leagues. I know I own him in one. So Craig Reynolds is the guy to add if he's not on a team, because he's going to get some touches. And yeah,
don't forget Justin Jackson, also a running back for the Detroit Lions. Just a fun fact. Obviously, we've seen
Detroit
Craig
forgot.
Reynolds. Okay, just throwing it out there. But all right. And then the reason I was asking you so much about the Eagles before, obviously you got chopped in one guillotine, and then whoever got chopped in the other guillotine. But Jalen Hurts was on both the teams that got chopped this week. I am in precarious positions in both those guillotine leagues, really, because I can't seem to set my lineup right. How much money is Jalen Hurts worth in your mind, really? Or what percentage of the fab? Because like that, currently he's the top 4 overall in fantasy. I think quarterback number 3 off the top of my head. How much money is Jalen Hurts worth? Because if we think like quarterback 3 is obviously you want to get in on the ground floor on that. Like that's a worthy investment. But do you believe he's going to stay the quarterback 3, or will he fall down to like quarterback 6, quarterback 9? In which case he's not worth like $400 or 40% of your budget. But what do you think?
As the guy who lost with Jalen Hurts in one league, he was definitely the highest scorer that I had, and same with Glick's team. He was the highest scorer for him. Sorry, that was a spoiler. But it is, yeah. I mean, kind of curious that he was on both teams. But I do want to just say I'm not going to tell you a number because.
Right, not
I
an exact dollar amount.
I trotted out Justin Fields last week in the guillotine league that I'm still alive in, so I need a quarterback as well. So I probably won't bid anything less than $9.99.
Okay, I was just curious to get your thoughts, because it's like in both the guillotine leagues, I have either Jameis Winston or Kirk Cousins as my starting quarterback, and they're fine. But obviously, if Jalen Hurts is going to continue to put up 30, 40 points every week, like that's a guy you want on your fantasy team. So I'm just trying to decide: do I put in like a $350, $400 bid, just because like he is like a quarterback and a running back in one? I don't know. It's a lot to think about. And I don't want to say I've stressed myself out because that's overly dramatic, but I was just curious on your thoughts. But all right, Josh said Craig Reynolds is a guy to add. Obviously, Jamal Williams should be owned in all your leagues, but if somehow Jamal Williams was on the waiver wire, like if you have really short benches, definitely have to pick up Jamal Williams. Otherwise, yeah, good luck with your waiver wire ads, and we'll talk about them more on Saturday morning. But Josh, if that's all we got for the worthy waiver bit, you have anything else, or should I just tell the people where to go, and then we'll get into the outro or the obituaries here?
I have nothing to add. Go Packers.
All right. Also, big depress on Sterling Shepard. He seemed to be a success story for the Achilles tear, and we all saw him tear his ACL last night. Big depression. But anyways, the outro here, everyone. Don't forget about our Discord. Don't forget about leaving us voicemails. The segment start times are down in the description below. We thank you everyone for listening, and I don't know. I'm screwing up. I need to keep better notes at the bottom here. Thank you, Levi Oki. We'll be back Saturday morning at 8 a.m. But for now, we will get into Josh's obituaries. 2 people died in the guillotine leagues this week, and it's a sad day. And it's okay to be sad sometimes. So without further ado, Josh, please, Reverend Father Joshua Mitchell, please read us these lovely obituaries.
RIP in peace, Alex Hertz Donuts Glick. 9/5/22 to 9/26/2022. With the combined efforts of David Montgomery, Daryl Henderson, Michael Thomas, and DJ Moore, we bid farewell to the kind soul known as Glick. Amassing a whopping 17.2 points amongst those four, they nearly outscored Jamal Williams, who was resting comfortably on Glick's bench. Jamal's 24.7 would have saved his head to insult us once more, but instead he... If you're listening to this, I'm in hiding, but I feel the darkness looming. My name's Josh Mitchell. The end was forecasted on the eve of September 25th as the clock struck 6:24 p.m. with only a mere 11-point cushion between my neck and the blade. I knew my fate was sealed, and I made haste to a safe place. To look like a struggle, I trashed my home like a T-Rex had lived there before making a swift exit. It hurts leaving Ramondre the Giant behind like this, but I will return. I must leave a code for you if you want to find me. As a Christian, I want to believe this breeze is God telling me which direction to go as I traverse these roads, hill after hill. I've taken a new name to throw them off my track. Further correspondence will be from my alias, Rashad Garrett Logan. Oh God, I need to go now. This ginger bearded man is looking at me like he's...